1 yard short. Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan Lugo. Thank you for being here. The Jaguars fell to the Giants on Sunday afternoon. We're here for some quick instant analysis on the contest. Jaguars fell by a final score of 23-17. They came up just 1 yard short of being able to tie that football game at 23 after a really bizarre final drive filled with penalties that helped the Jaguars move the ball down the field. Trevor Lawrence hits Christian Kirk just outside the end zone, tries to fight his way in. He cannot do it. Stopped at the 1 yard line. Heartbreaking end to one of the strangest games you'll ever watch as a football fan. Like to remind you to follow me on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo, Generation Jaguar, at Generation Jag. Please like and subscribe on YouTube, and if you want to support the channel further, you can go pick up some gear at GenJag.com. You can also become a channel member. We've got links in the description below. So yeah, really devastating loss. The Jaguars now fall to 2-5 on the season. 4 straight losses for the Jaguars. The Giants are now 6-1. They've won 4 straight. There's a lot of things to look at here. We're going to go into more depth on this game tomorrow and throughout the next couple days, but right now we'll get into some quick analysis. Why didn't Doug kick the field goal in the fourth quarter to go up by 7? Well, he shouldn't have even had to make that decision. The referees, it looked like, gave the Jaguars really poor spots on 2 consecutive downs prior to that, where it looked like the Jaguars had achieved a first down. And instead, you end up having it fourth and short. You go for a Trevor quarterback keeper, which he's been money with all year. He does not get it. But had you kicked that field goal, you would have been up by 7, by a touchdown. And then when the Giants responded with a touchdown of their own, you would have only needed to score 3 to get back in that ball game, to get back even. And then you look at the extra point the Jaguars didn't get. Had they gotten that, then you'd be talking about the Jaguars taking the lead with a field goal at the end. Really frustrating stuff. Really frustrating for the Jaguars. Doug Peterson, we know he's going to be aggressive. We know he's going to want to go for it on fourth down, and that's kind of how he lives and dies. And in this case, it ended up certainly being a questionable decision, a decision that the Jaguars probably look back on and regret a little bit based on the situation. But again, they shouldn't have been in that situation anyways. The officiating completely destroyed that drive. And it was one of the worst officiated games I've ever seen on both sides. I think that this officiating crew certainly needs to face some sort of reprimand, some sort of punishment for how poor this game was officiated, again, on both sides. And the Jaguars, they picked up 13 penalties, really killed the team. Some of them, I think, were phantom penalties by the officials. Some of them were certainly the Jaguars lacking discipline late in the game. And that's been a common theme in a couple of the Jaguars' losses this year. Looking at week 1, it was a big issue, and then now, 7 weeks later, this issue is popping up again. You can't play disciplined football. I thought Josh Allen played pretty good football in this game. He was able to create a decent amount of pressure on Daniel Jones. He was in on the sack that Trayvon Walker got. But Josh Allen, that offsides negates a turnover, right? Foye Oluokun, helmet to helmet with Daniel Jones. That negates a Devin Lloyd interception. Would have been Devin Lloyd's 3rd interception of the season. It was not to be because of a Foye Oluokun penalty. This is a team captain making a boneheaded play in a critical moment in the game that takes the ball out of your hands and gives it back to the opposing team. Really difficult. Looking at the Jaguars' offense, 7 yards per play on offense. I'm pretty sure that's their best mark of the year. I mean, that is like, you are really cooking offensively when you're averaging 7 yards per play. But you only score 17 points. Why? Well, you have a Travis Etienne fumble, and Etienne was carving carving the Giants defense up for a lot of this ball game. 14 carries, 114 yards, averaged 8 yards a carry, picked up a touchdown, had a 49-yarder, but he fumbled the ball out of the back of the end zone after a big run. These types of things are killing the Jaguars. The highs and lows. The lows are certainly negating all the positive things the Jaguars are doing right now. I thought Trevor Lawrence, he came out and had a great first quarter. And then second quarter, I thought he left some opportunities on the field. Overshot James Robinson out of the backfield, and then missed Zay Jones in the end zone. I think both of those plays could have ended up in touchdowns if you deliver a more accurate football, which is certainly frustrating. But he played pretty well for most of the game, right? Threw for over 300 yards, got the job done with his legs a couple times, did have the one rushing touchdown, which was a quarterback keeper. So you look at Trevor, I thought he played good enough to win. I thought he played winning football, even with the couple mistakes that you had in the second quarter, the couple misses that you had in the second quarter. I thought Travis Etienne, fantastic day outside of the huge turnover, the fumble, which is obviously just unacceptable. And ball security has been the one issue we've been dealing with Travis Etienne in 2022, unfortunately. Because other than that, he's been just money for the Jaguars. He's averaged over 7 yards per carry in 3 consecutive weeks, which is just incredible. You don't see that type of performance very often. Thought Christian Kirk had a really big day, and he was who Trevor Lawrence was trying to get the ball to late in the game and was successful at doing so. Thought Evan Ingram on National Tight End Day had a pretty good game. Zay Jones was pretty ineffective. He was targeted 10 times and only came down with 4 catches. There was several where Trevor kind of put it up there for him, said, go get this football, and Zay Jones wasn't quite able to do it. And, of course, Trevor missed him on the touchdown pass as well. Dan Arnold picked up a screen pass and took it for 24 yards. That was a nice play on offense. The offense really did a masterful job moving the ball throughout this game, as they generally do. It was one of their best performances in terms of moving the football, but just could not finish. 1 yard short. 1 yard short. I thought the offensive play calling and play design was really good. I thought they were mostly well executed outside of a couple misses by Trevor and a couple plays that receivers did not make on the football. Yeah. Defensively, the coverage was not horrible. They weren't throwing the ball a ton, but I thought Darius Williams played really well in coverage. I thought Trey Herndon did not look like he belonged on the field at outside corner, in my opinion. Gave up a touchdown. He didn't get burnt too often, but it looked like he was on shaky ground out there for the Jaguars. Saquon Barkley obviously is the engine of the Giants offense, and he picked up 110 yards. A good chunk of those yards, though, came on the final Giants offensive drive, which has been a little bit of a trend for the Jaguars defense, doing a really good job. And that's another thing that popped up against Washington in week 1. We talked about how the penalties popped up in that game, and they also popped up in this game. But the inability to slow down an opposing offense, and specifically an opposing running game late in the game, has been an issue that's popped up for this Jaguars defense. I thought they did a pretty good job on Saquon until that final drive. Daniel Jones absolutely killed the Jaguars with his legs. They just looked completely unprepared for the idea that Daniel Jones might be keeping the ball on some of these plays, and it burnt them, because he ended up with over 100 yards rushing, just like Saquon Barkley. Daniel Jones, 11 carries, 107 yards, and a touchdown. Yeah, that was unacceptable by the Jaguars defense. They were unprepared for Daniel Jones's legs. And I don't know if that's coaching. I mean, it looked like they just weren't even respecting his legs. And you knew part of the book on Daniel Jones was the fact that he can beat you with his legs. So I'm not sure where the disconnect was there. Certainly Saquon Barkley has a lot of gravity and a lot of tension paid to him, but you can't let an athletic, mobile quarterback like Daniel Jones kill you like that. Bottom line is, it comes down to the penalties, the questionable decisions, and some officiating calls, they absolutely blew it. But I think even with the poor officiating on both sides, the Jaguars had every opportunity to take care of this ball game, but penalties and mental mistakes, unforced errors, and questionable decisions, coaching decisions late in the game ended up costing the Jaguars a victory. They're trying to get off the snide. They're trying to win their first game against an NFC opponent since 2018 when they beat the Giants in New York. Saquon Barkley's first game as a pro. Couldn't do it. Couldn't quite do it. 1 yard short were the Jaguars. This is, again, a team that looks like they were the better team on the field. It's looked like that in most of the Jaguars' losses this year. They've had opportunities to win these football games. And instead, they're not just not making winning plays, they're making losing plays, losing errors consistently down the stretch in every game so far this year that they've lost. Really disheartening stuff, but that's going to do it for me. Just some quick thoughts, quick analysis, and we'll dive deeper into this game as the week goes along over the next couple days. It's not going to be a fun one to wake up and watch tomorrow, but that's what we're going to do. Going to remain committed and keep getting content out there for y'all, even if it is not pretty for your Jaguars, who are now 2-5 on the season. They'll go to London to take on the Broncos in Week 8. Follow me on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo, Generation Jaguar at Generation Jag. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. Hit that notification bell. You can also, of course, check out genjag.com, get some Duval gear. You can become a channel member. There's links in the description below. Thanks so much for tuning in, Duval.